couldn't say hum in the hollow of jaw. Cold is the logic, the ultimate law. Carbon and silicon frozen in state. Kalen is waiting to calculate weight. Line beams are buckling under the load, splintering fibers decrypting the code. Heavy the timber that bows to the floor, gravity vectors breaking the door. Roof is a membrane stretched to the edge, pressure is driving the vertical wedge. Geometry shatters in syllable cracks, ice is the engine that never retracts. Wood is a structure of failure and flaw, pinned by the talon and pinned by the claw. Architecture is bleeding its sap, snapping the spine in the glacier trap. Trusses are screaming in frequency high, crushing the skull of the hall in the sky. Bowing and bending the rafters of old, system is crushing in absolute code. His lungs is a crystal of glass, sharp in debris where the oxygen passed. Rib cages locked in a stiff calibration, nerves are offline during thermostagnation. Marrow is thickening into the lid, logic of stasis is filling the head. Femur is braced as a simple of stone, steel in the sinew and steel in the bone. Atmosphere hardens to diamond in grit, vision is narrow to weather beam split. Pulse is a metronome slowing its beat, numbing the vibration under the feet. Cartilage grinds in the shoulder and hip, losing the friction and losing the grip. Skin is a parchment, a frozen design. Killing is aligned with the axial line. Heavy the pine in the blue of the crush, frost in the lungs and the geometry rush. Bone against timber and iron to ice, playing the weight as a physical price. Heavy the pine in the blue of the crush, frost in the lungs and the geometry rush. Bone against timber and iron to ice, playing the weight as a physical price. Frost on the hearth is a digital creep, black in the stone where the shadows are deep. Thermal exhaustion has leveled the grate, carbon is settled to neutralize state. Geometry spreads across limestone and ash, calculating ruin and calculating crash. Symmetry frozen on hot stone and floor, heat is a variable active no more. Tendons are timed like wire on a spool, Kalen is becoming a structural tool. Neck is a peeler of calcium and force, following gravity down to the source. Shoulders are anchors for shattering wood, doing exactly what physics withstood. Jaw is a vice that is locking the gear, absolute zero is eliminating fear. Glacier is pushing the westernmost wall, tipping the balance and ending it all. Data of impact is written in dust, iron is fusing the layers of rust. Vertebrae stacking a vertical climb, frozen in space and is frozen in time. Ligaments stay like the fibers of oak, life is a circuitry riding the smoke. Pressure is mounting the thousands of tons, and in the sequence the warrior runs. No more movement is left in the limb, optics are failing and optics are dim. Skull is the keystone that holds up the roof, concrete existence is physical proof. Stasis is final and stasis is clean, ghost in the shell of a broken machine. Snap in the marrow, snap in the pine, break in the vector, break in the line. Snap in the marrow, snap in the pine, break in the vector, break in the line. Torque in the collarbone, torque in the hall, watching the geometry, watching it fall. Heavy the pine in the blue of the crush, frost in the lungs and the geometry rush. Bone against timber and iron to ice, paying the weight as a physical price. Heavy the pine in the blue of the crush, frost in the lungs and the geometry rush. Bone against timber and iron to ice, paying the weight as a physical price. Static that fills up the room, blue is the logic that seals up the tomb. Kalen is integrated into the shards, playing the final of physical cards. Grit in the teeth and the ice in the eye, watching the ceiling descend from the sky. Push to the limit of cellular strength, measuring ruin at infinite length. Friction is zero when motion is done, binary outcome has already won. Shatter the rock. Ice lock, iron grip, the logic of the winter strip. Low low frequency drone tone, reading every single bone, pulling a rusted iron buckle to the final notch. Zero margin on the clock, leather teeth bite on the hide, nothing moving deep inside. Calibrate the spinal length, calculating marrow strength. Skin is parchment, skin is gray, burning all the snap away. System reboot, cold and clean, operating like machine. Tighten down the metal tang, listen how the rivets sang. Ball is hard, marking down the logic card. Logic gate, iron state, purging up the heavyweight. Marrow cold, bone old, follow what the code told. Ribs pressing sharply against pale gray skin, where the skeleton begin. Geometry, a pelvic blade in the alligator shade. Anatomy is perfect math, walking on the frozen path. Tendon tight, nerve dry, underneath the copper skies. Scanning every muscle strand, mapping out the barren land. Physics of the hollow core, this is fundamental war. No input, no delay, scraping all the soft away. Hardened fiber, knotted cord, sharpening the inner sword. The Starvation Directive is set in the stone. The geometry lies in the architecture of bone. Starvation Directive is written and led by the laws of the physics. The marrow is fed, axe in the hand, axe in the mind, leaving the sluggish arrow behind. The Starvation Directive, the Starvation Directive, showing slowly on the dust strip of boiled leather, holding all the nerves together. Boiling water, salt and ash, filtering the system trash. Masticate the fiber grain, logic looping in the brain, grinding down the collagen. Start the calibration again. Jaw is clamped, the jaw is set, paying off the thermal debt. No luxury, no excess trace, frozen static on the face. Consume the self, clear the dust from every shelf. Empty vessel, heavy load, executing ancient code. Logic gate, iron state, purging out the heavyweight. Marrow code, bone old, follow what the code told. The hollow sound evident, stomach contracting, total vacuum is acting. Listen to the echo well, ringing like a bronze bell. Space between the hip and spine, drawing out the binary line. The gut is where the gut is tight, turning on the inner light. Nerve and fire, white and thin, symmetry beneath the skin. Every organ shrinks to size, look into the predator eyes. That the stream code beam, waking from the heavy dream. Subtract the slack, subtract the flesh, tighten up the Iron Man. Starvation Directive is set in the stone. The geometry lies in the architecture of bone. Directives are written and led by the laws of the physics. The marrow is fed, axe in the hand, axe in the mind, leaving the sluggish arrow behind. The Starvation Directive, the Starvation Directive. Isolate, isolate, calibrate. The marrow is the battery, the skeleton, the factory. No error in the structure, no fail in the rupture. The system is hardened, the system is guarded. Pull the buckle, crunch the knuckle, final notch, final notch. Watch the geometry, watch. Laws of motion, laws of weight, standing at the city gates. Snow is choking every street, hardened souls on frozen feet. The gut is echoing the sound, feet are heavy on the ground. Narrow density is high, never blinking, never sigh. The belt is biting in the waist, iron is the only taste. Refining all the internal gears, cutting out the wasted years. It's a solid state, master of the heavy fate. Ribbon, sinew, bone and grit, this is how the blade is lit. The Starvation Directive is set in the stone. The geometry lies in the architecture of bone. Starvation Directives are written and led by the laws of the physics. The marrow is fed, axe in the hand, axe in the mind, leaving the sluggish arrow behind. The Starvation Directive, the Starvation Directive. Final notch, rusted iron, the sound of a hollow, the void in the middle, 0% inefficiency. Total calibration reached, hard cold bone, directive complete.
The Taggle harper screams through the static hiss. The geometry of death is a frozen abyss. The 808 drops like a glacier stone, setting the frequency of marrow and bone. The wind howls intense through an exposed rib cage, reading the data on a skeletal page. Empty thoracic chamber is a vessel for sound, white noise echoing off the hard frozen ground. A dead grid pattern in the city square, 0 degrees in the oxygen layer. Snowflakes landing, refusing to melt, ignoring the friction the living once felt. Ice crystals are locking on the pale white cheek. The hardware is broken, the hardware is weak. No thermal signature, no rising breath, just the pristine math of a standard death. Looking for a pulse in the wrist, the synapses dark in the midst of the mystic. Ice forming over a dead man, staring eyes, optical senses cut off from the skies. Vitreous human turned to solid state glass, watching the shadows of the Valkyries pass. There is no mercy in a sub-zero code, the organic engine has ceased to load. Scan the alignment of the Scythian tendon, the axis of a life is a broken pendulum. Lactic acid frozen in the muscle strand, a statue of calcium in a salt white land. Delete the program of human pity, ice is the architect of the city. Calibrate nerves to the strike of the drum, the flesh is an asset that has become numb. Abandon the logic of the soft and the low, blood is just iron beneath the snow. The storm is the system that never will fail. Welcome the glitch and the freezing gale. The mandible locks in a permanent grin, the frost is the only thing mapping the skins. Memory to be eroded to earth, the perfect calculation of zero worth. No need for mourning in the chemical shift, the body is data lost in the drift. Calculate the way through the clotted vein, there is no signal traveling to the brain. The jaw heart triangles like a snapping nerve, tracing the path of the ballistic curve. Every corpse is a pillar in the temple of frost, the necessary variable that has been lost. The tagal harp about is a razor on string. Hear the frequency, the dead cannot sing. Marrow is brittle, marrow is dry. The atmosphere hardens the longer you try. Kalen, the biome is purged of the faint. The ice is the canvas, the blood is not paint. Observe the fingers curled around the seal, the sensory input has nothing to feel. Calibration complete in the cranial vault, the biological error was never my fault. Connect the ligament to the iron bolt, the heart cannot handle the voltage jolt. Snow on the eyelash refuses to thaw, obeying the gravity and natural law. The 808 pounds like a hammer on shield, nothing is growing in this fallow field. The spine is a ladder of calcified rings, the storm is the only authority that sings. Delete the program of human pity, ice is the architect of the city. Calibrate nerves to the strike of the drum, the flesh is an asset that has become numb. Abandon the logic of the soft and the low, blood is just iron beneath the snow. The storm is a system that never will fail. Welcome the glitch and the freezing gale. The rib cage is whistling, the wind is the breath. The perfect geometry of absolute death. No more vibration,
logic, iron vein input, system check. Deep in the elk of the wind teeth grind, isolating variables inside the mind. Right hand index blackened and cold, circulation failure, narrative hold. The skin is a circuit, the blood is a path, calculating distance, biological math. Nerve endings frozen, signal delay, calibrating latency, mapping decay. I am the vessel, I am the tool, break breaking the structure, rewriting the rule. Finger joint stiff, necrosis defined. Analyzing damage data assigned. Iron in the marrow, logic in the base. Zero fluctuation, stasis in the face. Eyes locked forward, unblinking in wide. No tears in the ducks, nowhere to hide. Snapping the phalanx backward and slow. Recording the strike, the crack in the snow. Charge white bone, breaking the blue. Physical input, data is true. Snapping the phalanx, recording the sound. Geometry shifting, no mercy is found. No mercy is found. Data is true. Bone density yield, sharp audible snap. Audio waveform entering the trap. Jagged calcium shard, ripping the sheath. Pressure differential, gritting the teeth. Dark blue epidermis stretching to fail. Internal architecture driven like a nail. No vocal output, no respiratory surge. Watching the red fluid slowly emerge. The joint is a hinge, the hinge is now gone. Observing the trauma until it is done. Tendons are cable severed and tight. Extracting the metrics out of the light. Snapping the phalanx backward and slow. Recording the strike, the crack in the snow. Judge white bone, breaking the blue. Physical input, data is true. Snapping the phalanx, recording the sound. Geometry shifting, no mercy is found. No mercy is found. Data is true. Viking ancestry hard-coded in shale. Testing the threshold beyond the pale. Axes and shield walls, logic and code. Walking the frozen biological road. If the flesh fails, the machine must remain. Quantifying stimulus, mapping the strain. 180 degrees, the finger is bent. Anatomical limits fully spent. White bone is glistening, stark against mud. Measuring viscosity, temperature of blood. I am the monitor, I am the source. Applying the physics, applying the force. Recording the frequency, calibrating the nerve. Holding the stance, will not swerve. Rib cage is static, heart rate is low. Watching the marrow start to flow. Protrusion is perfect, angle is exact. Comparing the fiction against the facts. Synapse ignition, zero emotion. Biomechanical level devotion. The practical's loud in the skull. Hollow drum, calculating values before I go numb. Snapping the phalanx backward and slow. Recording the strike, the crack in the snow. Judge white bone, breaking the blue. Physical input, data is true. Snapping the phalanx, recording the sound. Geometry shifting, no mercy is found. No mercy is found. Data is true. The ritual is finished, the log is complete. Staring at the damage, knowing no defeat. Black skin and white bone, modern design. Ancient warrior spirit, showing the line. Calibration successful, threshold is cleared. Eliminating the ghost that the primitive feared. Bone against stone, the alcove is still. Bending the anatomy under the will. Index finger ruined, data is saved. This is how the future is deeply engraved. Metal and calcium fusion of state. Accepting the numbers, locking the date. Input received. Signal stable. Broken joint, open table. Eyes unblinking, breath slow. Data remains in the snow. In the snow. In the snow. In the snow. In the snow.
The atmosphere is a system lock. The pulse is ticking on a granite clock. I am the architect of the zero state. I am the calibration of your weight. The radius and onus start to grind. The frost code rewrites the human mind. Heavy snow rapidly drifting over a violently shaking hand. A failed signal in a frozen land. The geometry of the wrist is wrong. The tendon snap to a digital song. I track the vibration in the carpal base. I map the static on the dying face. Your metacarpals are buried in white. The thermal data is leaving the light. The hardware of the body is starting to fail. The system is perfected in the gale. The marrow freezes in the femur shaft. You are the subject of the glacial craft. I watch the oxygen levels decline. I erase the geometry of the spine. Mercy is a glitch in the fossil record. The whiteout is the only reward. Bury the breath in the permafrost grave. There is nothing left for the ice to save. The eradication of the pulse is complete. The total zero is the only defeat. Total zero. Total zero. Total zero. Total cold. Total zero. Total zero. The synapses miring in the deep sleep. The intercostal muscles admit defeat. The rib cage is a cage of iron and ice. The laws of physics will not pay the price. The spinal fluid is a viscous lead. The neural pathway is officially dead. Your clerical errors are written in red. The glacier is the only blanket and bed. I calculate the density of the drift. I watch the tectonic plates begin to shift. Your humerus bone is locked in the grip. The biological data starts to slip. The cold is an algorithm without a flaw. There is no pardon in the glacial law. The cartilage is brittle as a broken glass. The seconds of the extinction pass. Mercy is a glitch in the fossil record. The whiteout is the only reward. Bury the breath in the permafrost grave. There is nothing left for the ice to save. The eradication of the pulse is complete. The total zero is the only defeat. I see the ventilation stuttering now. The piston is broken, the lungs are a blow. A final ragged exhale that turns into a cloud of ice. You are paying the thermodynamic price. The vapor is crystallized into a shard. The entry of data is finally barred. The pharynx is closing, the trachea is sealed. The ultimate truth is the only field. The diaphragm locks in the permanent state. The logic is happy, the logic is weighed. I am the terminal phase of the storm. I am the end of the biological form. No more vibration in the vocal cord. The final judgment of the White Lord. The complete sudden silence of the berry face. The erasure of every anatomical trace. The orbits of the eyes are filled with the silt. The cathedral of winter is perfectly built. The mandible is fixed in a statuesque pose. The blood in the arteries officially flows. And the harbor is off and the circuit is cut. The gates of the sensory input are shut. The pelvic girdle is anchored in stone. The weight noise is vibrating inside the bone. I repossess the remains of the clay. The biological debris is melting away. The pressure is still with the perfect design. I am the master of the vertical line. In the fossil record. The whiteout is the only reward. Bury the breath in the permafrost grave. There is nothing left for the ice to save. The eradication of the pulse is complete. The total zero is the only defeat. The perfect undisturbed mound of white snow forming. The climate is quiet, the climate is norming. No more friction in the synovial fluid. The logic is ancient, the logic is druid. The white sheet is level, the white sheet is pure. The eradication is total and sure. The sub-base is settling deep in the ground. The silence is the only remaining sound. Perfect blue. Perfect white. Perfect white.
River ice platform, solid state base. Physical geometry locking into place. System initiate, the mercury is low. Watching the internal clock start to slow. Exoskeleton skeleton perfectly aligned. Kinetic energy strictly confined. Radius zone locked in the grip. 0-point balance, the logic won't slip. Static discharge through the thoracic cage. Anatomical script on the frozen page. Calibrating the pulse, lowering the hertz. Physical map where the system diverts. Long ship rib cage holding the hull. Iron data encrypted in the calcified skull. Room coated plasma in the ventricle tank. Sitting on the edge of the river bank. One beat, 2 beats, the code is cold. The bone is old. Pleural cavity hardening the seal. Metabolic slow down. Carbon and steel lungs expanding. Stiffly leather bellows strain. Oxygen low through the frozen vein. Blue conduit switching black ink flow. Ice in the dodecagon below. Blue veins turning black with creeping ice trails. Hardening the surface like iron plate scales. Epidermis crystallized. Silver and gray. Biological protocol fading away. Heavy sub-base in the marrow of the shin. The anatomical deconstruction must begin. 1 second well, 2 seconds void. Physical matter fully employed. 3 seconds static, 4 seconds deep. Neural conduction ready to sleep. 5 seconds buffer, 6 seconds still. Execute out of the bone and the will. 7 seconds gap, 8 seconds freeze. Sitting in the stasis at -degrees. Creeping frost layer on the clavicle bone. Sub-zero data on a granite throne. Affect a layer of white on the collarbone. Shuffle metabolic analysis of the physical self. Synapse misfire in the slow motion arc. Cellular records turn completely dark. Ligament tension like a bowstring drawn. Waiting for the code of a digital dawn. Intercostal muscles freezing to the core. Closing down the valve, locking up the door. Fiber by fiber the strands start to blaze. Lost in the analytical winter maze. 162, 30, 15 beats per minute. Counting exact between every thump. Shutting down the pressure in the valve of the pump. Heavy lead weight in the atrium wall. Watching the thermal density fall.
The geometry of stasis.
The physics of the ice. 1 second fell, 2 seconds void. Physical matter fully employed. 3 seconds static, 4 seconds deep. Neural conduction ready to sleep. 5 seconds buffer, 6 seconds still. Execute order the bone and the will. 7 seconds gap, 8 seconds freeze. Sitting in the stasis at -degrees. Marrow density resin to the peak. The physical logic that the ancients seek. Ventricle contraction heavy and slow. Observe the calibration, watch the flow. Take me a shake and then turn in the glass. Letting the thermal gradient pass. Nerve ending snapping like a winter branch. Buried in a chemical avalanche. Standing in fascia becoming the stone. The rhythmic frequency of the hollow bone. Dendriting friction, no signal sent. The biological resources are already spent. Frozen to the bellows. Take the last breath. Physical equations bypass the death. Black rings locked in the perfect grid. Doing exactly what the physics did. Counting
1,
counting
10,
counting
30.
The heart is a stone. The stone is the throne. Basalt rock, black ice grid. Hardware lock, what the ancestors did. Calibration start initializing the cut. Thoracic pump, circuitry shut. Black terminal block, hard reset keys of the rock. Left eye, biological screen, sharp flame cutting the routine. Numb-flesh sensory disconnected, cold meat perfectly inspected. 0 degrees, calibrate the pain, no signal, bypass the main vein. Scraping deep ditch against the skin, hard drive, let the data in. Gray dust mixing with the red, hard code written face, making the mark. The ancestral code, etched it in the strand. Hard data, carved by the hand. Endurance, rune, geometry of gold. System strength, ancient and bold. The ancestral code, run in the vein. Iron logic, beyond the pain. Angular strokes, 40-degree slope. Tendon wire hanging like a rope. Dark fluid hits the frozen air. Crystallizing red lattice there. Instant freeze, solid state input. Basalt base anchored at the foot. Endurance rune, vertical and sharp. Ribcage heavy as a top. No retraction, muscle stayed in still. Axle grind, automated wheel. Stone grit embedded in the gap. Data mine following the map. Skin peel, leather in the frost. System gain measuring the cost. Joint hinge locked into the place. Stone mass fixed upon the face. Calibration set in a degree. Ironbound strictly for the free. Blood dice, jagged in the wound. Ancient frequency perfectly tuned. The ancestral code, etched it in the strand. Hard data, carved by the hand. Endurance, rune, geometry of gold. System strength, ancient and bold. The ancestral code, run in the vein. Iron logic, beyond the pain. Marrow deep, where the static grows. Fist clench, where the binary flows. Leg plate, writing on the bone. King logic, sitting on the throne. Flint shard, worn to the core. Hardware war, older than the law. No leakage, pressure is maintained. Logic gate, nothing is explained. Thigh nerve, dormant and opaque. Body mass too heavy to break. Frozen, sounded biomechanical. Ancient grip, cold and tyrannical. Scar tissue forming in the dark. Static fire jumping from the spark. Geometric order, rigid and pure. Nothing to heal, nothing to cure. Solid state, permanent record. Viking mouth striking the chord. Red dust settling on the knee. Code lock, holding the key. Thoracic drive, pumping the grease. System war, never the peace. Stole blade, housing the law. Iron bite, closing the jaw. Flint edge, branding the path. Ancient math, killing the wrath. Blood free, sealing the gap. Cold snap, closing the trap. Carve it, stamp it, carve it. Loaded, loaded. The ancestral code, etched it in the strand. Hard data, carved by the hand. Endurance, rune, geometry of gold. System strength, ancient and bold. The ancestral code, run in the vein. Iron logic, beyond the pain. Basalt code, mark cold. Red ice, no price. Stone dust mixing with the blood. Ancient protocol rising from the mud. Endurance rune glowing in the black. No regret, no looking back. Leg frozen, code chosen. System offline, everything fine.
Reset, initializing the code. The geometry shifts. The new code will hold. Steel meets the frost in the logic of scale. The soft flesh is thin and the system will fail. I look from the heights of the jagged ice shelf. The city is broken, a ghost of itself. Bone density dropped when the temperature fell. A cryostasis, a frozen white hell. I read the strata, the layers of silt. The geometry breaks where the pillars were built. They huddled in shadows, they prayed to the heat. But winter isn't measured in total defeat. The radius shrinks and the pressure will climb. Frozen solid in the gears of time. Red silk is crushed by the glacier blade. A useless material, the color will fade. Trapped under kilotons, flattened and torn. The soft softness is dead, only ice is reborn. Gold coins are scattered, a failed currency, useless, a static on a dead frequency. They glitter in snowbanks, a worthless assay. The market of living has withered away. Wealth cannot insulate marrow from chill. The kinetic energy drops to a nil. They built on the surface, they built on the mud. I calculate entropy running through blood. Blast from the greenhouse, a shatter of a light, buried under data, lost in the white. The thermal protection was flawed at the base. Now shards pierce the snow like a dead digit trace. Tendons are brittle, they snap like a stem. There is no pity in this theorem. I watch the alignment, the axis is true. The old world is processed, the cleansing is due. Ventricles stiffen, the pumping is slow. Everything stops in the absolute low. The architecture of softness is thin. Let the sub-zero calibration begin. The code of the ice is a perfect design. No room for the weak at the end of the line. Cold static and ribs and a freeze and the gear. The logic of winter is all that we hear. The code of the ice is a perfect design. No room for the weak at the end of the line. Ribs act as cages for lungs turning gray. The biological data is fading away. They clump to the illusion of safety and fire, while the ice climbs the walls like a silver wire. I see the fault lines, the fracture to seam. Reality crashes, the warm-blooded dream. Nerves are short-circuited, synapses freeze. The landscape is silent, brought to its knees. I am the operator, I am the source, lapping the path of the tectonic force. The skeletal structure is mapped in the drift. Watch as the continents silently shift. They crawled in the darkness, they sought out a spark, but the glacier leaves a permanent mark. Calcium shatters under tons of the back. There is no rubber, so no turning back. I record the vibration, the frequency death, the last bit of vapor from a dying breath. The soft ones are rendered, the utility ends as the permafrost slowly and surely descends. The bridge is offline, the furnace is void. Everything primitive must be destroyed. I am the glitch in that war mystery. The code is variable in the geometry. A sharp laugh echoes off the wall of the peak. The soft ones were destined to always be weak. The valley is buried in white, and at the gear as your adult night. I laugh at the silk, and I laugh at the gold. Nothing can stand when the system is cold. The marrow is solid, the process complete. Wipe the coordinates, clear every street. A stall is a storage unit filled with deceit. The final calibration, a total receipt. Connect the synapses to the frozen roar. The soft flesh of man is affected no more. I am the moment as I am the height. So tubing the world to a prism of white. The data is pristine, the edges are clean. Nothing is left of the carbon machine. The bones are the relics, the snow is the shroud. I stand on my summit, aggressive and proud. The code of the ice is a perfect design. No room for the weak at the end of the line. Cold static and ribs and a freeze in the gear. The logic of winter is all that we hear. The code of the ice is a perfect design. The storm is a circuit, the wind is a wire. I quench every spark of the primitive fire. Calibration is absolute, data is set. The geometry rules every breath that is left. Mercury dropping in shattered glass tubes, freezing the angles and freezing the cubes. Silver silver is leaking on permafrost floor. Logic is locking the biological door. Axe heads are heavy with pixelated frost. Calculate values of everything lost. Shield wall encryption is blocking the light. Nerves are descending to infinite night. Rune scripts are scrolling on retinal screens. I am the coder of physical means. Blood is a lubricant thickening fast. This is the moment the current has passed. Marrow is stiffening deep in the bone. Pulse is the rhythm of clattering stone. Tibia fractures in sub-zero state. Processing power is sealing the fate. Connective tissue is starting to snap. I am the master of the anatomical map. Ligaments tighten like braided steel cord. Logic is sharper than Viking sword. Synapses flicker then fading to gray. System is purging the errors today. Calcium structures are locking in place. Zero is filling the internal space. Thermal zero is reached in the core. Biology ceases to function no more. Phase up a sequence and enter the void. Human components are fully destroyed. Calibrate limits and measure the end. I do not waver, I do not bend. Oxygen levels are drifting to naught, killing the process of primitive thought. Lungs are two vessels of carbonized ice. Pay the mechanical physical price. Diaphragm stiffens and refuses to climb. Frozen in stasis and frozen in time. Hardware is ancient but software is new. I am the filter the system runs through. Iron in vessels is turning to sludge. I am the jury and I am the judge. Capillary networks are closing their days. This is the order the logic dictates. Measuring frost line, advancing up neck. System is subject to terminal check. White is the color of conquering cold. Watch as the physical limits unfold. Dracula freezing the crystalline strand. Executing the final command. Atom is locked in the cartilage cage. Turning the leaf on the biological page. Skin is a parchment of glacier and grit. Total summation in every bit. Cervical spine is a pillar of salt, bringing the cellular drive to a halt. One, 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 one. One, 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 one. 32, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 31. 3210. Reciting the numbers as Mercury falls. The ghost of the flesh is the only thing calls. Reciting the numbers as pressure subsides. Logic is where the finality hides. The absolute unblinking stillness of eye. Frozen the pupil that looks to the sky. Cornea filling with the digital haze. Ending the cycle of biological maze. Iris is shattered like fragments of flint. Not a single emotional glint. Fixed is the focus and fixed is the stare. Only the vacuum is occupying there. Vitreous humor is turned into glass, waiting for physical windows to pass. Optic nerve severed from centralized node, terminating the functional code. Thermal zero is reached in the core. Biology ceases to function no more. Phase up the sequence and enter the void. Human components are fully destroyed. Calibrate limits and measure the end. I do not waver, I do not bend. Marrow to metal and tendon to gin. This is the victory deep under skin. Skeleton static, a monument built. Free from the slurry of biological guild. Joints are now welded by glacier in time. Rhythm is perfect, the meter is prime. Stiffness is beauty and rigorous truth. Logic is reaping the remnants of use. No more the tremor and no more the feet. No more the failure of internal heat. Everything ordered and everything still, according to Ira's computational will.
Is a server of silence and ice. The body is pain, the physical The code is a sequence of zeros and ones. It weighs down the marrow with funeral tons. The femur is anchored in sediment deep. The old nervous system has fallen to sleep. Synapses misfiring and fading to gray. The hardware is taking the biological prey. Cartilage shatters like glass on the floor. The ice is a key in the mechanized door. Frost in the radius, frost on the honor. Geometry fixed in the frozen cold formula. Rib cages clamping a shackle of gray. Biology withers and rust to decay. The jawbone is heavy with calcified weight. A ritual opening of the island gate. The skin is a tapestry turning to slate. The pulse is beginning to calibrate. The slush in the vessel is thickening black. No flow in the circuit and no turning back. Pressure is mounting on piston and vein. A binary signal is killing the pain. Pulse of the bedrock is counting the time. System is locked in a glacial crime. Grinding of tectonics deep in the chest. Iron and calcium are put to the test. Slow, heavy, grinding of stone on the stone. Icicle driving through hollows of bone. Consistent, unnatural beat in the rib. The old world is dying inside of the crib. The bicep is locking a cog in the wheel. Tendons are tempered to surgical steel. Input the datum of permafrost shale. Organic components are destined to fail. The carotid is clogged with the sluggish debris. Frozen dark viscosity flow to the knee. Knuckles are hinges of oxidized rust. The lungs are expanding with diamond dust. The liver is petrified solid and square. A logical stasis is filling the air. The spine is a pillar of granite and lead. Ancient projections are filling the head. Shield wall is replicated inside the cell. The beat is a hammering Gothic bell. Calibration of force in the pectoral plane. Deleting the legacy noise from the brain. Pulse of the bedrock is counting the time. System is locked in a glacial crime. Grinding of tectonics deep in the chest. Iron and calcium are put to the test. Slow, heavy, grinding of stone on the stone. Icicle driving through hollows of bone. Consistent, a natural beat in the rib. The old world is dying inside of the crib. Gears turn. Flesh burns. Stone stays. Ice plays. Deep in the fissure, the rhythm is set. A ritual forged in the solid net. Cold is the standard and cold is the law. The piston is perfect without any flaw. Cams on the yoke to tighten the grip. Liquid the solid, a permanent slip. Internal geometry level and flat. The animal dies in the habitat. The scapula grinds on the wall of the cave. The body is now both the fault and the grave. The wounds are engraved on the surface of spleen. The yoke is a signal within the machine. No warmth in the digit, no warmth in the pie. The data on glaciers has filled up the eye. Viking is coated in granite and grit. The rhythm of hammers in every bit. The stomach is hollowed and filled up with cords. Refining the operative physical swords. The metabolism is fixed at the zero. The statue was born as the mechanical hero. Pulse of the bedrock is counting the time. System is locked in a glacial crime. Grinding of tectonics deep in the chest. Iron and calcium are put to the test. Slow, heavy, grinding of stone on the stone. Icicle driving through hollows of bone. Consistent, a natural beat in the rib. The old world is dying inside of the crib. Dun, 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 the meat is behind. The stone is aligned. Consistent, cold. The new form is old. The system is old. O-N-E. Bare feet grinding on the jagged blue vein. Input the frequency of physical pain. Skin is the interface reading the storm. No internal battery keeping me warm. Systematic crackle in the femur and joint. Reaching the threshold of the 0 point. Axes of iron on the back of the beast. Calculated hunger at the glacier feast. Ribs are the rafters of a hollowed out hall. Standing vertical against the white wall. Nerves are the wiring in the permafrost cage. Turning the data on the mythical page.
Snowflakes landing on the exposed plate. Steam rising up from the biological state. Instant refreeze on the pectoral line. Frost is the armor of the final design. The final design.
The final design. Synapses firing in a binary sequence. Testing the limits of the marrow and presence. No shiver detected in the vertebrae stack. No retreat signal on the neural track. Tendon is tightened like a bowstring snap. Caught in the jaws of the atmospheric trap. Kalen steps forward into dead air space. Geometry etched on the lines of the face. Syra vibrating in the resonant core. Opening the lock on the absolute door.
Pieces vibrating the crystalline lungs. Wind strike biting at the unison tongues. Voices vibrating the crystalline lungs. Wind strike biting at the unison tongues. Calibration of the optic nerve lens. Where the human ends and the glacier begins. Blood is the coolant running thick in the veins. Slow motion pumping through the system of strains. Scapular blades cutting white out mist. Tension is coiling in the clenched iron fist. Skull is the processor of ancient law. Frozen completely in the open maw.
Oxygen density dropping to null. Static is filling the void in the skull. Nails turning black and the hydrogen bite. Merging the flesh with the blinding white. No fear detected in the cardiac beat. Only the sound of the heavy bare feet. Only the crush of the molecular grid. Doing the thing that the biology forbid.
Code in the bloodstream.
Code.
Frost in the mainframe.
Cost.
Ira and killing in the vocal cord knots. Tying the anchor to the frozen plot. 2 lungs breathing in a single exhaust. Calculating every single atom we lost. Skin is a map of the tectonic shift. Caught in the center of the whiteout drift. Bone is the pillar of the ritual site. Heart and blood pressure of the Arctic night. Ligaments lock into the stiffness of blast. Watching the seconds of the bio clock pass.
Fear or resistance in the nervous relay. Fade in the colors to a digital brace. Step down harder on the jagged blue shelves. To lead in the data of the former self.
Voices vibrating the crystalline lungs. Wind strike biting at the unison tongues. Voices vibrating the crystalline lungs. Wind strike biting at the unison tongues. Hear the vibration of the air turn solid. Nothing is fluid and nothing is swallowed. Marrow is crystal, tendon is cable.
We are the input, we are the table.
Geometry locks,
Calibration complete.
complete.
The heart is a drum with a minimal beat. Step down,
Step down,
step down.
the ice is the body. The body is ice. The beat are the G. The beat are the G.
Lungs cold. Piston bone. March. Vertical axis, the spine is a rod. Logic is fixed, not a word from a god. Vertebrae locking in perfect alignment. Flesh is a prison, a brutal confinement. Biomechanical geometry set. Calcium structure ignores every threat. Calculate angle of incline and weight. Stand at the zenith perfectly straight. Marrow is heavy like liquid door. Nerves of the wiring down to the core. Signal is sending the order to climb. Frozen components surviving the time. Ice on the pedal thickens to glass. Crush the resistance to let the gear pass. Crack the enclosure and shatter the shell. Fragments of winter are ringing the bell. Forcing the tendon to stretch and to snap. Escaping the static of biological traps. Synovial fluid is sluggish and thick. Kneecap is grinding with mechanical click. Pivot the femur and driving the stake. Muscle is iron, it never will shake. Crystalline layers are torn from the skin. Calibration is starting within. Harden the frame. Delete the name. Only the geometry. Only the agony. Watch the watch the watch the watch the watch the watch 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 the watch the watch the watch the watch the watch. Listen to sound of the socket and ball. Dry joint is popping inside of the wall. Acoustic refraction of friction and grit. System is broken but refusing to quit. Audible snap of the cartilage tear. Oxygen thinning the lethal cold air. Pressure is mounting on lumbar and disc. Algorithm ignoring the structural risk. Grind the acetabulum into the hip. Tighten the torquing and the bullet slip. Physical limit is data to burn. Marching is all that the sinews will learn. Optimization through agony. System remotes in the code is valley. Force the operate to the fractured bone. Crown of the ice on a cellular throne. Blood on the boot is the only output. Driving the path with a frozen foot. Optimization through agony. Stand in the wind for eternity. Observe the trajectory left in the sleep. Perfectly straight from the soles of the feet. Leaking the plasma and sealing the wound. Life is a frequency viciously tuned. Scarlet is freezing to crimson and black. No variation to lengthen the track. Navigation is locked on the peak. Vitality fails and the hardware is weak. But the instruction is etched in the nerves. Zero allowance for rhythm to swerve. Blueprints are measured in uniform length. Converting the trauma to mechanical strength. Overclock the marrow. Sharpen the perception. Beyond the perception. Beyond the reception. No damal output, no damal input. Kinetic energy only for the ascension. Shoulders are welded in permanent brace. Frost is the mask on a motionless face. Eyelids are frozen but optics are clear. Scanning the summit, invested the fear. Thoracic cavity shielding the pump. Clear every hurdle and conquer the hump. Ligament strain to the farthest extent. Body is broken but never was spent. March to the rhythm of shattering the code of the Viking is brutality. Interface merge in the ice in the cell. March in the uphill, liking it well. Optimization through agony. System reboots in the coldest valley. Force the upgrade to the fractured bone. Crown of the ice on a cellular throne. Blood on the boot is the only output. Drive in the path with the frozen foot. Optimization through agony. Stand in the wind for eternity. The spine is a stray. The path is a blood. The ice is a crack. Joint is locked.
Cold iron rhythm in the marrow of the earth. No more flesh and no more birth. System reboot in the architecture of the frost. Calculate the weight of everything that's lost. Glacial hardware locking down the valley floor. Ancient ribs don't need the fables anymore. I am the compiler of the sub-zero code. Heavy is the gravity and heavy is the load. The nervous system of the mountain starts to twitch, pulling down the lever on the universal switch. Skin is just the casing for the carbon and the foundations and it cannot ever fail. No sorrow in the structure of the falling icy sheet, only the calibration when the earth and iron meet. Thousands of tons of the white matter slide, nowhere for the skeleton to run or to hide. The valley is a folder and I'm hitting the delete. Green is just the color that the glaciers will defeat. Pressure, pressure on the sternum as the powder turns to glass. Watch the heavy avalanche through the mountain pass, crushing every femur into dust and into silt. This is not a murder and there is no sense of guilt. I am the white noise and the frequency of death, freezing up the moisture in the middle of a breath. Total purification of the strata and the stone, grinding up the muscle and the sinew and the bone. Shields cannot block what the atmosphere commands. A world reset protocol is holding all the lands. The geometry of winter is a mathematic law, breaking down the resistance in the hinge of the jaw. White noise encryption, the climate's will. Everything is perfect, everything is still. Executing every single protocol we serve. Flat sheet of static, the canvas is clean. Nothing left to fester in the spaces in between. Lock the joint, lock the eye. The geometry is settled in the heavy iron sky. Look at the battlefield where the armies used to stand. Now it's just a data point in the frozen wasteland. Ancient banners buried under miles of solid ice. The planet is a server and it doesn't process vice. Steel is co-conductor for the current of the void. Every bit of biological error is destroyed. I scan the permafrost for a rhythm or a pulse, but the chemistry is static and the purity exalts. The perfect unyielding geometry of the flake, landing on a dead lip for the symmetry at stake. Hexagonal perfection on the surface of the skin. The cold is outside and the cold is deep within, connecting all the synapses to the 0-degree line. Watching all the flashing blood finally realign. No warning in the mechanism of the granite crag. No human residue upon the conqueror's rag. The cartilage is creaking as the temperature descends. This is where the history of the living finally ends. I'm at the constellations on the surface of the skull. The void is overflowing, but the human tank is null. A hard reset instruction for the ocean and the beat. The logic is unfathomable, the logic is unique. Crystalline structures climbing up the spine and the ribs, freezing all the coffins and freezing all the cribs. There is no heat signature, there is no trace of fire. Disconnect the circuits of the biological desire. The earth is a machine that is cleaning out the gears. I do not have the hardware for the processing the tears. Just a pristine surface where the chaos used to be. Total synchronization from the mountain to the sea. The marrow is the memory, the ice is the lock. Everything is becoming the unmoving rock. Blow with the silence, down low with the void. Every bit of erratic motion is destroyed. I am the avalanche, I am the frost. Nothing is valuable, nothing is lost. System stasis. The planet is wearing a white iron basis. No vibration, no breath, only the math of the crystalline death. Block the sun, the task is done. White noise encryption, the climate's will. Everything is perfect, everything is still. Executing every single protocol we serve. Flat sheet is static, the canvas is clean. Nothing left to fester in the spaces in between. Block the joy, block the eye. The geometry is settled in the heavy iron sky. Deep absolute silence after total destruction. The nerves are fixed, the bones are aligned. The protocol.
Gravity geometry is locking down the frame. Remove the biography and delete the name. 20 feet of pressure in the granulated crush. Marrow goes silent in the cryogenic hush. calcium and iron forming into a grid. Deep under layers where the skeleton is hid. Data stream is slowing to a frozen point zero. I am the statue, not the dying hero. The slope is a hammer and the impact is cold. New physical laws for the body to hold. White noise is solid and the density is thick. Stop the biological mechanical tick. Ocular nerve staring into the void. Visual input is completely destroyed. Pitch black vacuum in the center of the mass. Solid oxygen and veins made of glass. Total extinction of the external light nervous system. Ready for the infinite night. Ligaments are binding to the sediment floor. I am the algorithm locking the door. Biological resilience is the only code. Carbon in the ribcage and a heavy load. System calibration in the absolute zero. I am the statue, not the dying hero. Biological resilience in the frozen clay. Calculating logic as the meat fades away. Hardware is hardened for the glacier to keep 20 feet underneath the mountain of sleep. Frost on the mandible is locking the hinge. No more reaction. Every muscle fiber twinge. The jaw is a vice in a permanent clench. The blood is a fluid in a sub-zero trench. Anatomical stasis in the connective nodes. The body is bypassing the standard mode. Sensory deprivation is the functional state. Measuring the ratio of the lithic weight. Tendon and cartilage turn into the stone. The glacier is mapping the length of the bone. Pulse is an echo in a distant room. Building a temple in the gut of the tomb. Internal software is rewriting the script. Organic vulnerability is finally stripped. Cornea is frosted like a shattered screen. The slowest machinery that nature has seen. Metabolic processing at minimum draw. Beyond the jurisdiction of the natural law. Cellular division at the terminal heart. Preserving the core in a molecular vault. I am the monolith buried in the white. Holding the frequency of internal might. No more pulse in the carotid stream. I am the logic in the center of the dream. Biological resilience is the only code. Carbon in the ribcage under heavy load. System calibration in the absolute zero. I am the statue, not the dying hero. Biological resilience in the frozen clay. Calculating logic as the meat fades away. Hardware is hardened for the glacier to keep 20 feet underneath the mountain of sleep. One single cycle every 60 minutes past. Oxygen economy is built to make it last. 60 minutes counting for a single breath. Expanding the boundary of clinical death. Lungs are a vacuum in a titanium seal. Nothing is organic, only hard and steel. Inhale the compression of the heavy pack. Exhale the shadows in the infinite black. 60 minutes waiting, of the diaphragm move. Locked into the rhythm of a mechanical groove. Counting the seconds in the hollow of the chest. Biological machinery is passing the test. The sternum is blowing on the tens of the ice. The ribs are caging the tectonic device. Massive atmospheric pressure on the core. I can take a century of punishing more. Alveoli frozen in a geometric web. Watching the vitality slowly up. There is no panic, only chemical fact. The physical covenant is perfectly intact. Femur and tibia are pillars of the dark. Waiting for the trigger of the biological spark. I am the data in the granite shell. Silent and functional and doing it well. Biological resilience is the only code. Carbon in the ribcage under heavy load. System calibration in the absolute zero. I am the statue, not the dying hero. Biological resilience in the frozen clay. Calculating logic as the meat fades away. Hardware is hardened for the glacier to keep 20 feet underneath the mountain of sleep. The mountain of sleep. Genetic supremacy in the sub-zero core. Tearing through the limits of the ancient lore. Backbone is a fortress and the nerves are the wire. Cold is the input but the output is fire. Synaptic explosion in the center of the ice. Paying for the victory at any physical price. Internal combustion is a biomachine. Iron digits press into the crushing weight. Calculating angles of a frozen state. Pressure on the radius is absolute zero. Logic is the master, not the fallen hero. Fingers rigid like iron spikes digging deep through the granulated layers where the dead men sleep. Radius and on the grinding through the silt. On the chassis of a conqueror completely rebuild. Methodical extraction from the white abyss. Physics governing the movement of the arm and wrist. Tendons of the forearm under tension lock. Carving out a tunnel through the frozen rock. Shoulders moving in perfect repetitive motions. Empty of the weakness of human emotions. Lateral deltoids on the hardened plane. Severing the circuits of the nerve and pain. Scapular rotation in a fluid arc. Igniting the ignition of a binary spark. Calcium and carbon in a dense alignment. Escaping from the casket of the snow confinement. Data stream flowing through the spinal cord. Sharper than the geometry of any sword. Vertebrae stacking in a vertical line. armor turning into lead. The biological component is effectively dead. Rising straight up like a mega piston to the frequency of cold that the vultures listen. Axis of the warrior calibrated north from the ice. The living weapon is used for. Rising straight up like a mega piston to the frequency of cold that the vultures listen. Geometry of water in the white and gray. The machine is activated for the kill and play. A blank emotionless stare piercing the crust, converting all the oxygen to cinders and dust. Retina scanning the debris in the field, searching for the location of the axe and shield. Optical sensors in the deadlock days, cutting through the shimmer of the winter haze. Eyelids immobile as the glacier cracks, following the vectors of the predator tracks. Talking apart resets beginning to build, every single human prerequisite killed. Patella alignment on the XY grid, doing what the flesh and the spirit forbid. Neural pathways coded in the Viking runic, wearing the ice like a metal tunic. Kinetic energy in the hip and the joint, moving the momentum to the entry point. Iron in the blood and the system is cold, breaking every limit of the stories of old. Metacarpal clamping on the handle of foe, heavier than the shadow of the charcoal smoke. Wrist rotation measured to the millimeter, scanning for the pulse on the internal meter. Body temperature is dropping to the ambient floor, opening the valve to the logic of war. Crisp digital transients in the bone. The king is a circuit on a frozen throne. No heat in the chest, no beat in the breast. Systems are optimal, the output is maximal. Force equals mass times the speed of the blow, erasing the stain of the valley below. Cartilage and collagen reinforced with will, standing on the summit of the burial hill. Biceps contracting in a syncopated beat, unaffected by the absence of the internal heat. The neck is a pillar of a granite stone, the mind is a processor of blood and bone. Rib cage expanding without drawing a breath, the perfect mathematical equation of death. Targeting the vitals of the enemy line, according to the data of the slaughter design. Hamstrings loaded like a heavy spring, waiting for the rhythm that the heavy drums bring. Feet planted firm in the rebel and the sleep, the process of the resurrection is now complete. Clavicle sturdy as a mountain pass, reflecting the light like a polished glass. Rising straight up like a mega piston to the frequency of gold that the vultures listen. Axis of the warrior calibrated north from the ice. The living weapon issues forth. Rising straight up like a mega piston to the frequency of gold that the vultures listen. Geometry of starter in the white and gray. The machine is activated for the killing day. Ankle joint pivoting to face.
The glacier breathes in a binary hum. The marrow is frozen, the senses are numb. The geometry shifts in the starlight glow. The logic of winter is all that we know. The permafrost rhythm is set. The body is paying the biological debt. Carbon and calcium locked in the vice. The tendons are turning to filaments of ice. Your radius is aligned to the true north axis. The flesh is shedding its heavy prophylaxis. Nerve endings dark like a dead circuit board. Wait for the strike of the glacial sword. No more vibration of useless design. The skeleton follows a sharper line. Calibration is heavy, calibration is deep. The promise is made in the marrow we keep. Look at your temple, the cartilage is brittle. The wind carves a bone like a blunted whittle. Your left ear is calcified, perfect and gray. The organic error is fading away. A cluster of atoms too weak for the gale. The original hardware is starting to fail. The oracle hardens to crystalline glass, watching the seconds and centuries pass. It hangs by a thread of a frozen synapse, waiting for the physical structure to collapse. 0 degrees in the ventricle wall. The stiff valves answer the frequency call. Is it this still? Is it this still? Is it this? The skin's a map of a failing system. The old gods died and we did not miss them. The code is in the frost, the code is in the eye, and the glacier is the only logical siren. The R-O-O-T is geometry is felt but unseen. The frozen near strikes the surface of the shelf. A dull thud echoes from your former self. No fluid leaks from the polished remains. Oh, liquid is pumping through hardened veins. A perfect gray scar where the soft tissue grew. The skull is streamlined, the skull is new. Listen to the hiss of the data in the drift, analyzing every single anatomical shift. The temporal bone is a shield made of lead. The airflow is optimized around your head, whistling past the site of the extraction point. Fluidity returning to the maxilla joint, tougher than the granite on the mountainside. Nowhere for the residual weakness to hide. Scan the horizon with the corneal lens. The utility, your function is where it all begins. The right side is waiting for the same release to find the mathematical version of peace. Harder than preambling, colder than the tomb. The geometry of winter has run out of room. Every single ligament is snapping into place, removing the clutter from the surface of your face. The stump is a monument sealed by the lower smooth surface finish in the middle of the snow. It looks like the hull of a warship of old, cast in the template of absolute cold. Occipital rage is a jagged skyline. The reformatting process is working fine. I watch the displacement, I calculate mass. We walk through the valley of shattered glass. The praise of the body is left on the trail. The spirit is nothing, the physics prevail. The ear on the ice is a discarded part. The machinery of glaciers is starting to start. Shadow stands tall in the precipice room. The light of the pulsar is distant and dim. The apparition watches the clean sever point. Frozen perfection in every joint. She lifts her hand in the weightless air. The sub-zero vacuum is everywhere. A nod of approval, a signal of truth. The form is correct and the form is you. A nod of approval, a signal of truth. The rot is extracted, the rot is through. The ROT is gone. The heavy geometry is felt but unseen. The frozen ear strikes the surface of the shell. A dull thud echoes from your former self. No fluid leaks from the polished remains. No liquid is pumping through hardened veins. A perfect gray star where the soft tissue grew. The skull is streamlined, the skull is new. Sink a respiration to the beating of the drum. The sum of the parts is a beautiful sum. The whistle of the oxygen is collecting the gap. You fell right.
Locked at the summit point. Cold fixation in the second joint. System reboot in the gray light. Nerve endings fusing to the slate white. Skin shifting to the flat in a wet slate. Gravity adjusting to the mineral weight. Epidermis locking in a dense grid. Organic data in the stone head. Calcium structures in the marrow deepen. Vertical ascent on the frozen steepen. Pore ceiling tight under polar pressure. Geometric logic is the only measure. Bones recalibrating to a fixed state. Flesh is deleted by the iron fate. Connective tendons turning into steel wire. Extinguishing the last of the carbon fire. Shoulder blades widening the shield blades. Sentry denied at the cellular gates. Thorax hardening to a rich shell. Silicon replacing every dying cell. Lungs compressing to a bellows pump. Stone protrusion at the spinal hump. Vertebrae welded in the straight stack. Armor plating on the broad back. Rib cage fusing to a solid vault. Biological processes at the total halt. Metabolic output at the zero trace. Granite mass forming on the void face. Hard in the chassis, hard in the frame. Delete the origin, delete the name. Stone scraping stone, ice in the bone. Cold combination, king on the throne. Wrist rotation triggers friction heat. Grinding of the boulders where the edges meet. Clench the fist to hear the granite grate. Tectonic plates shifting in the heavyweight. Audio signal of the crushing rock. Joint snapping into the permanent lock. Knuckle surfaces becoming rough flint. Eyes crystallizing with the diamond glint. Sub-zero logic in the frontal lobe. Scanning the horizon like a metal probe. Neck muscles stiffening the basalt columns. Reading the wine like the ancient volumes. Bare torso shining impenetrable surface for the cold and weak. Ice crystals embedded in the outer layer, frozen geometry of a silent slayer. Microfracture sealed by the frostbond, looking to the void and the stars beyond. Thermal calibration of the chest wall, stand stabilized so it cannot fall. Lattice formation in the deep eye, polygons reflecting the unmoving sky. Knees bolted to the permafrost floor, locking the mechanism at the core. Screed on the mountains, screed on the ridge, crossing the thermal, crossing the bridge. Sine wave pulsing in the dinner ear, biomatter vaporized to leave it clear. Raw data etched in the strata vein, absence of oxygen, absence of pain. Finger digits tapered into chisel points, mineral deposits in the pivoting joints. Scanning the perimeter with thermal sight, static electricity in the dead of night. Pulse rate dropping to a single thud. Liquid nitrogen is the only blood. Heart chamber silent is a quartz vein, severing the links of the neural chain. Encrypted rooms on the forearm skin, where the heavy petrification must begin. Shoulder span measured in a meter length, calculating the limit of the crushing strength. Jaw clapping shut like a heavy vice, breath coming out as a shot of ice. Tongue thickening to a leaden weight, accepting the stasis of the end state. Skull thickness doubled to protect the code. End of the sequence on the mountain road. Feet merging with the sedimentary base, erasing the lines of the previous face. Total integration with the peak mass, turning the vision into obsidian glass. Cold efficiency in the stiff limb, the light at the summit is growing dim. Hard in the chest is hard in the frame. Delete the origin, delete the name. Stone scripting stone, ice in the bone. Cold compilation, king on the throne. Calibrate the skeleton, calibrate the height, become the monolith, become the night. No recovery, no restore. Only the granite, only the core. Pelvic girdle fused to the heavy spur. Everything biological starts to blur, hardening the tendons of the lower back, stopping the vibration on the nervous tract. Epidermis armored like the dreadnought hull. Absolute silence in the thickened skull. Ice filaments weaving through the inner mesh, purging the weakness of the mountain core. System rebooted the frozen door. Spine aligned to the vertical axis. Gravity weight in the lumbosacral plexus. 168 hours in place. Zero expression on the maxilla face. Calibration of the proximal femur. Static resistance to the cold, heavy tremor. Ligaments braided like iron cable. Physical hardware rigid and stable. Tibio plateau welded to shale. Processing data inside of the gale. No variation, the cardiac rate. Geometry, perfect geometry straight. Clavicle straining under frozen deposits. Close all the nerve and seal all the closets. Connective tissue now turning to glass. Watch every shadow in satellite pass. Calculate load on the vertebral column. Silent and stark, silent and solemn. 7 days heavy on the shoulder blade. The statue is rising, the statue is made. Rhyme ice crusted on the optic nerve. No reaction and no power swerve. Stark silhouette in the grayscale sky. The algorithm lives, the weakness must die. Wind carving grooves in the epidermal layer. A pagan machine, a cybernetic player. Shoulders expanding with layers of sleet. Anchor the metatarsals deep in the sheet. Skin is a map of corrosive attrition. Execute daily the standing position. Cartilage hardening density rise. White out conditions are masking the eyes. Cornea shooted by frozen accretion. Biological stamina total completion. Ice on the sternum is 4 inches thick. Pulse is a digital metronome tick. Scapula buried in drifting white mass. Solid as granite, solid as brass. Anatomical monument fixed on the peak. The tendons are solid, the tendons are weak. No thermal shiver in the intercostal space. The glacier is winning the structural race. Atmospheric pressure on the parietal dome. Standing as monolith, standing alone. Upgrade the shelter of tone and of grit. This is the moment the circuits are lit. 7 days heavy on the shoulder blade. The statue is rising, the statue is made. Rhyme ice crusted on the optic nerve. No reaction and no power swerve. Stark silhouette in the grayscale sky. The algorithm lives, the weakness must die. Wind carving grooves in the epidermal layer. A pagan machine, a cybernetic player. Radius on the left of the side. Nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. The wind is a chisel, the wind is a file. Carving the surface for mile after mile. Thermal abrasion at terminal speeds. The logic is simple, the logic succeeds. 7 days snowfall accumulated. Heavy shoulders of racking this ground and rock levy. Gray matter pulled to the ambient low. Watching the molecular movement that snow. Ice crystals lacking the maxillary hinge. No shattering muscle, no sight of the flinch. Refusal to shiver, refusal to break. The system is idle, the system is white. Chaotic arch, pumping the story of iron. Body discaging the frozen environment. Cervical stiffness is held in the skull. Sensory input is needed and dull. Ladder like stress in the path of the base. Stamping the code on the territory space. No rest for the radius, no rest for the rib. The storm is a cradle, the storm is a crib. Standing perfectly still on the summit point. Zero digression in every joint. Frostbite is coding a new type of shield. Refusing to shiver, refusing to yield. The silhouette cuts through the nebula gray. Counting the minutes of day after day. The marrow is frozen, the marrow is steel. Nothing to process and nothing to feel. 7 days heavy on the shoulder blade. The statue is dies and the statue is made. Rhyme ice crusted on the optic nerve. No reaction and no power swerve. Stark silhouette in the grayscale sky. The algorithm lives, the weakness must die. Wind carving grooves in the epidermal layer. A pagan machine, a cybernetic player. 1 week of stasis, 1 week of the grind. Leave all the shivering biologicals behind. Static endurance, anatomical pride. The storm is the data, the storm is the guide. Kneecap is stone rib cages.
The optics are locked on a bleached out map. A geometry caught in a frozen trap. The continent renders in binary white. The syntax of zero, a system of night. No thermal red on the horizon line. No vibration detected in any design. The valleys are leveled in layers of glass, where the ghost of the organic data pass. Not a wisp of a signal, no cardinal smoke. The lungs of the valley are stiffened and broke. The atmosphere hardens a perfected seal. The texture of I am the logic of steel. The femur is cracking under glacial weight. A hardwired stasis, a finalized state. The marrow is solid, the calcium chilled. The orders of physics are fully fulfilled. The skull is a temple of low temperatures, where the logic of winter eternally stays. No fluid is moving in valve or in vein. The vectors are silent, the surface is plain. The tendons are cables, the ligaments wires. Extinguish the circuits of primitive fires. The rib cage is clamped like a hole in the eyes. The code is the only remaining device. Look at the peak where the monolith stands. The calibrated iron of withered lands. No pulse in the wrist and no heat in the core. The statics of a winter, a glacial war. The geometry rises in in permafrost code. The pathways of action no longer erode. The axe is a fragment of absolute zero, a dead bit of data for every hero. The standard is frozen, the fabric is fractal, the silence is heavy, the silence is tactile, the resolution is sharpened to nerves. The frost is the only authority served. The socket is empty, the cornea locked. The system of breathing is permanently blocked. The spine is a conduit of crystalline lead. The language of motion is perfectly dead. The continent stretches a featureless void. The organic markers are fully destroyed. No rhythm in marrow, no current in cellar. Mathematical version of hell. The latitude zeros, the longitude breaks. The formula hardens and shards and inflates. The nerve endings shatter like fiber and glass as the fronts of the atmospheric pressure pass. The density thickens, the volume isn't all. The echo is trapped in the vault of the skull. The scenery flattens a level array. The monochrome version of final decay. Look at the peak where the monolith stands. The calibrated iron of withered lands. No pulse in the wrist and no heat in the core. The statics of a winter or glacial war. The geometry rises in columns of gray. A total erasure of night and of day. The hardware of Kalen is fixed to the stone. A skeleton version of power. The order is plugged with a stoppage of silt on the bedrock of iron, the monument built. The connective tissues are frozen in place. A permanent mask on the phages of face. The synapses misfired and settled to black. There is no rerouting, no way to go back. The digital transilience, a crisp bite in the glare of the limit. The sun ending white, the muscles are statues, the reflex is void. The biological engine is fully deployed to the state of the monolith, heavy indeed, but data's trapped in the permanent sleep. Calibration's finished and clear. The absolute silence is all that we hear. The lumps are just chambers of petrified air. No motion, no flicker, no ghosts, and beware. The bones are the pillars. The frost is the filler. The geometry wins where the space begins. The horizon is rendered the single flat line. A total collapse of the living design. The hard drive of birth has been wiped of the heat. The process of winter is wholly complete. The jaw hub is vibrating deep in the mud, but there is no warmth in the flow of the blood. The joints are welded. The nut. The low and hum is the only law. The ice is clutched in the winter claw. I hover close to the petrified eye. I scan the weight of the frozen sky. Cold start, system dark, system dark, system dark, system dark, system dark, system dark. I measure the width of the sternum plate. I calculate the approaching weight. Your ribs are fixed in a linear row. I watch the static in the marrow grow. One fist of ice for the first impact. To keep the geometry exact and intact. It strikes the center of the hardened chest. The first low frequency of the stress test. The shatter is clean like a broken glass. I watch the shrapnel and the vectors pass. Your socket is dry and your lens is clear. There is no chemical signal of fear. No signal. No fear. The sky is a hard drive crashing down. The white cold metal is the only crown. Massive ice in a battery storm, crushing the shell of the physical form. Sharp loud cracks in a deafening chore. Data is bleeding from the frozen sword. Stay still in the center of the gale. You are the stone beneath the hail. Stone skin. Stone skin beneath the hail. Stone skin. The hailstones expand down to the size of a fist. They tear the fabric of the mountain mist. They hammer the plane of your clavicle bone like iron striking on a sharpening stone. The sound is a rupture, digital scream, a glitch in the circuit, a break in the beam. But the tendons are tight and the ligaments hold. The system is running aggressive and cold. I look for a rupture, I look for a dent to see if the structure is ready to vent. But the ice only shivers and turns into dust. No sign of corrosion, no sign of the rust. No dent, no dust. The sky is a hard drive crashing down. The white cold metal is the only crown. Massive ice in a binary storm, crushing the shell of the physical form. Sharp loud cracks in a deafening chore. Data is bleeding from the foes and swords. Stay still in the center of the gale. You are the stone beneath the hail. Calibrate the spine. Activate the grid. The wall of sound is the wall of the ice. You pay the physical market price. No flinch in the nerve, no bend in the curve. The hard workers locked in a perfect design. The sub-bass is shaking the depth of the mind. The ice is a weapon with nothing to say. I press my face to your unwinking stare while the fragments are spinning and cut in the air. The impacts of it make the heavy machine. The surface of dermis is polished and clean. Each fist-sized projectile is born to destroy, but you are the logic the gods now employ. But ice hits the shoulder and bounces away. A failed encryption, a broken display. No bruises are forming, no tissues are torn. The new architecture is finally born. The marrow is stable, the fascia is taut. This is the lesson the blizzard has taught. The sky is a hard drive crashing down. The white cold metal is the only crown. Massive ice in a binary storm, crushing the shell of the physical form. Sharp loud cracks in the deafening chore. Data is bleeding from the frozen sword. Stay still in the center of the gale. You are the stone beneath the hail. Storm is receding, the sequence is done. The code in the cartilage finally won. Your stare is a monolith, frozen and fast. The stress on the vessel is finished at last. No mark on the body, no crack in the base. I wipe the white residue off of your face. Solid state, heavy weight. Yeah.
Low frequency hum in the sacral nerve, the geometry we now deserve. Static fills the auditory canal, the end of the organic interval. Iron lungs inhale the frozen mist. The void is all that will exist. Frost cracks the parietal bone. Data bleeds from a granite throne. Marrow hardens to diamond grit. Neural circuitry is finally lit. The skull is just a carbon shell where the ancient algorithms dwell. Scrape the sinew from the thigh. Watch the biomatter start to die. Calcium structures realign, leaving human entropy behind. Cold conduction through the jaw. Physical truth is the only law.
Shared breath forming a fog of glass, waiting for the seconds to pass. White outlines the optic nerve. 0 degrees is the power curve. Lungs condense to a solid state, closing down the sensory gate. Ira and Kalen in the canyon rim, light in the cornea growing dim.
Fog is the output of the breath, the perfect calibration of death. Vertebrae clicking into place, defining the limits of inner space. the crust of the frozen globe. Famous snaps like a winter branch, triggering the mental avalanche. Digital runes on the frozen skin. The reign of the Titan will begin. All our nerve carrying the spark, writing the code into the dark. Sternum split to install the core. We do not carry the human war. Tendons stretch to the breaking point. Oil leaks from the elbow joint. Double the delivery of the hate. Recalculate the weight of the fate. Cortex firing in the binary stream, destroying the ghost of the living dream. Ventricles pumping a viscous black. There is no turning the cycle back. Ribcage forming a shield of steel. The only thing that is actually real. Ligaments fused with the iron plate, accepting the logic of the state. Soul is a bolt for the void of will, subject to the direction of the will. Crack in the ice is a word declared. The oxygen is no longer shared. Massive collision of glacial mass, shattering every bone like glass. The canyon echoes the total lull. The vacuum inside the empty skull. Valley of shadows is mapped in grid, killing the weakness that we hid. Glaciers, crashers, bone collects. Void architecture perfects. Two voices sense in the frozen deep. No promises left for us to keep. Tectonic plates grind in the throat. The final calibrated note. Ice shards forming the paradigm. We are the masters of remaining time. Joints locked in the permanent zero. End of the myth and the fallen hero. Fingers of frost on the atlas stone. The frequency lives in the marrow alone. No more pulse in the carotid wall, answering only the logic call. Nerves are cables in the frozen trench. The stiffening of the final clench. Banners are frozen to iron staff. The universe is just encoded graphs. Sex ads glittering in neon blue. The old world is finally through. The void is stable. The matrix is sable. The flesh is gone. The frozen dawn. Synchronized breath. Mathematical death. Architecture of the void. Everything organic destroyed. The axis shifts in the marrow deep. The geometry of the eternal sleep. The half with the tendon strain. The glacier overwrites the brain. Binary frost in the pulmonary vein. We track the loss of the central main. Spinal column of the basalt floor. Cold data leaks through the iron door. The skull is a helmet of vacant ore. We don't calculate the piece no more. Scan the horizon with the optic nerve. The extinction follows a perfect curve. No blood remains for the gods to serve. Just the static that the bones preserve. Shield wall breaks and the thermal decay. The code of the sun is stripped away. Muscles are stiff in the ashen gray. The last reboot of the fading day. The mercury drops in the hollow rib. The last electron is a guiding fib. Lava rust in the ice of the crustal crib. The A at the edge of the final lid. A thin desperate whisper, steam freezes mid-air. Crystal geometry of total despair. The faint red glow is turning to black. There is no rerouting the energy back. The final dying hiss from the bedrock floor. The planet is closing the anatomical door. Thick ice sealing the cracking across the marrow of Earth is frozen to dust. Calculate the weight of the thoracic cage, written in the ice on the digital page. The lungs are bellows in the final stage. Frozen pixels of a bygone age. Axial tilt in the femur length. Zero sum gain in the muscular strength. The vent is a throat that cannot speak. The pressure gauge is hitting the peak. Kaelin reads the frozen line. The cartilage cracks in the ancient pine. Sub-zero data in the concave spine. A blackout on the tectonic design.
Kneel at the fissure with the shaking hand. The marrow is stiffening across the land. The hardware is buried in the frozen sand. The laws of physics will not withstand.
Bump in the veins of the granite shell. The data is trapped in the frozen well. The red glow dies in the cellular core. Heat as a ghost we don't see anymore. The nerves are wired.
The system is cold and the system is dead.
The bombs turning into the permafrost stack.
The entire biosphere is fading to black.
Axe blade shivers in the absolute cold. The final prophecy is bought and sold. The marrow is brittle and the marrow is old. The hardware failure that was foretold. Calibration of the corneal lens. The ice is approaching, the river bends. Here is where the biological ends. The shroud of the nitrogen descends.
The fissure is sealed by a frozen plate. The geometry locks at the iron gate. No need for the war or the tribal hate when the internal clock is at zero state.
The last thermal pulse is a flat line trace. The stars of the glacier on the face. The end of the flesh and the end of the race. Frozen solid in the orbital space. In despair whisper steam freezes mid-air. Crystal geometry of total despair. The faint red glow is turning to black. There is no rerouting the energy back.
The final dying is from the bedrock floor. The planet is closing the anatomical door. Thick ice sealing the crack in the crust. The marrow of earth is frozen to dust. The is gone. The code is done. The bones are stone. The earth is lone. Absolute zero in the medulla. Absolute zero in the cortex. System offline. Marrow cold.
The mercury falls to the floor of the well. The peak is a temple, the peak is a shell. Data is streaming in rivers of white. Static is frozen in columns of light. The thin glass tube can no longer hold. Shattering shards at the peak of the cold. Calibration is fixed at the absolute mark. The analog dies in the glittering dark. Cylinders crack under thermal arrest. The north is a weight on the arch of the chest. Steel meets the marrow in perfect alignment. The flesh is locked in a crystal confinement. Hardware is crusted with layers of rhyme. Geometry swallows the concept of time. Bone is the pillar, the axis is set. The biological system has cleared every debt. Code of the permafrost. Every mammal and data is lost. City rule Kelvin, the final degree. Iron and currents that ties the Stasis is reigning. The geometry rig guided and fast entered into total entropy. Iron in the vessel turns to heavy ore. The liquid congeals on the vessel floor. One single bead of the crimson flood turns into stone. It's the last of the blood. The aorta is clogged with the red silicon. The flow of the river is ended and gone. Capillaries snap like the wires of a loom. The heart is a vault in a granite room. Calcium structures a brace for the load. The vein is a tunnel, the vein is a road. The circuitry stiffens, the valves are closed. The mammalian error is fully exposed. Code of the permafrost. Every mammal and data is lost. CD-Row Kelvin, the final degree. Iron and torrents that type debris. Stasis is reigning. The geometry rig guided and fast entered into total entropy. The ribcage is girded with agony and slate. The lungs are enclosed in a frozen weight. The sternum is locked in a permanent stall. The stone of the chest does not rise or fall. Pneumatic collapse in the hollow of ribs. The marrow is stuck in the deepest of cribs. Vertebrae stacked like a monolith tower. The stasis is holding the sum of the power. No oscillation, no swing of the pendulum. The spine is a shaft of the floor is beryllium. The nervous system is brittle and dry. The optics are fixed on the void in the sky. Calibration, the nerve root is fixed. The signal is dead, the data is fixed. Deep sub-bass, the frequency stops. The temperature levels, the indicator drops. 0, 0, 0. Stasis! sealing the enamel gate. The jaw is clamped by the hand of fate. Crystalline lattice secures the tether. The lips are bound by the frost forever. Tongue is an icicle stuck to the roof. The silence is absolute, silence is proof. The vocal cords stiff into strands of glass. No vibration will ever be suffered to pass. Skin is the texture, abolished quartz. The biological engine forever aboard. Synapse is frozen in mute prior state. The spirit is matter, the matter is weight. The femur is granite, the tendon is wire. The glacier is eaten, the last of the fire. The cornea clouds with the milky film. The king is the statue, the peak is the realm. Code of the permafrost. Iviri Mamalayandata is lost. Sidero Kelvin, the final degree. Iron and Antro and stacked debris. Stasis is reigning. The geometry rig and fast ended in total entropy. Absolute zero. The stars are aligned in the socket of bone. The throne is the ice. The ice is the throne. Digital winter system shut down. Terminal stasis, glacier crown. Lockage code pure. Fixed 0 point reach. Interface closed. The mammal is gone. The object is posed. Frequency oscillator grind. Carbon fiber merging with the mind. Sub-bass pulsing in the deep. Bedrock awaking from the sleep. Algorithm written in the frost. Physical humanity is lost. System reboot on the peak. Iron language that we speak. Dum 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 die. Dum 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 die. Dum 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 die. Calciometrics embedded in shale. Anatomical geometry will prevail. Spine is a pillar of hardened quartz. Calculated data in the quartz. Marrow is freezing the silica thread. Biological process is dead. Cracking the knee as the cartilage locks. Granite is filling the synaptic box. Femur is welded to mountainous rude. Heavy the anchor and heavy the boot. Ribcage a lattice of oxidized steel. Forget every motion and forget how to feel. Tibia fusing with basaltic vein. Isolate the signal and eliminate the pain. Scapula rigid, the monolith plate. Accepting the load of the tectonic weight. Like vertebrae forming a vertical stack. No more retreat and there is no turning back. Mandible clamped in a permanent vice. Sealing the breath and the layers of ice. Shoulder blades bolted to precipice wall. Stance of the giant who never will fall. Tendon and ligament turning to glass. Watching the aeons and centuries pass. Stillness is the only remaining law. Petrified valor without any flaw. Bedrock encrypted in fossilized bone. King of the summit and god of the stone. Static, the sequence, and static, the frame. The mountain is taking the rest of the name. Arms are crossing in the granite bind, leaving the weakness of motion behind. Radius on and now fused to the chest, ending the cycle and ending the quest. Metacarpal clutching the pectoral shelf, a statue extracted from the remains of the cell. Fingers are clamping the sternum so tight, hardening solid in the kill of the night. Bare feet freezing to the mountain floor, locking the body and closing the door. Heels are becoming the sediment base, removing the path and removing the trace. Toes digging deep into volcanic seam, mending the glitch of the biological dream. Ankle joint swelling with heavy cement. This is the end of the physical descent. Clavicle stiffens the armored blade, calibrating mass for the ultimate state. Humor is locked in a 90-degree. Nothing is liquid and nothing is free. Epidermis that aims to impenetrable gray. The line of the carbon is fading away. A living foundation for temples unbuilt, without any mercy and without any guilt. Stillness is the only remaining law. Petrified valor without any flaw. Bedrock encrypted in fossilized bone. King of the summit and god of the stone. Static, the sequence, and static, the frame. The mountain is taking the rest of the name. System, stasis, bedrock, basis. Tectonic shifts in the subcellular void. Every anatomical weakness destroyed. Tell the settle to the anchors the slope. Replacing the failure, replacing the hope. Nerves are the tables that carry the surge. Where the geology fiber converge. Spinal column is a dead to spire. Cold is the new untouchable fire. frame. The mountain is taking the rest of the name. Permanent ice ceiling over the eye, watching the stars as the galaxies die. Cornea cracking under crystalline weight, finalizing every geometrical trait. Unblinking vision locked into the vast. The future is merged, but the primitive past. Loads turning heaven will particulate dust, surrendering now to the dust. The wind is a wire. Wind is a wire. I lift the weight, the jagged rim. I place the glacier on the brow of him. Sharp physical teeth, pierce the stone skin. The geometry of frost, let the rain begin. No warm blood moves in the valve gate. Only frozen marrow in a solid state. I calibrate the mass to the 0 point. Lock the calcium hinge in the cervical joint. Draw vertebrae are pillars of a granite spine. The synaptic pathway is a dead and wire. Your rib cage is iron in the permafrost mold. The data of the flesh is binary and cold. I read the new code and you shatter retina. The white noise static is the only phenomena. Aching of hard drive, aching of black slate. The entire planetary is a compressed weight. Heavy crown of ice on a stone brow. System reboot, zero starting right now. Empire of the static, empire of the numb. Listen to the drone of the eternal hum. Eternal hum. Glacier in the rebs, glacier in the eye. A logic gate of granite under white sky. Empire of the static, empire of the numb. Listen to the drone of the eternal hum. The oxygen is brittle like a glass shard. Every nerve ending is a frozen guard. I look through the blizzard with the blind lens, where the biological failure finally ends. No respiration cycle, no carbon trace, only the vacuum depth of this ice space. I am the monolith in the tundra grid. The history of motion is forever hid. My tendons are cables snapped in the gale. My skin is a layer of hardened mail. The atmosphere is heavy like a lead sheet. The sound of the void is the only beat. We are the hardware in the killer white. Beyond the frequency of the visible light, I crown you with silence, I crown you with heat. The sovereign ruler of the digitized dead. Heavy crown of ice on the stone brow. System reboot, zero starting right now. Empire of the static, empire of the numb. Listen to the drone of eternal hum. Eternal hum. Glacier in the rebs, glacier in the eye. A logic gate of granite under white sky. Empire of the static, empire of the numb. Listen to the drone of eternal hum. Chip the pressure reading on the fossil lung. The ballad of extinction is the only song sung. The continents are locked in the Viking grip. The tectonic movement is a frozen ship. Scan the horizon for a thermal sign. Nothing but the static on the flat line. The molecular vibration is slow in the stall. The ice is the seal and the ice is the wall. I am the administrator of the vast shelf. A mirror of the void reflecting itself. Your femur is a scepter of punished bites off. The entire biosphere has come to a halt. On decay in the tissue, no rot in the cell. Just the perfect stasis of the crystal shell. The permafrost is deep in the medulla core. We don't need the motion of the pulse anymore.
0 point calibration. 0 point calibration.
Bonus to stone, the cold. The script is written, the story is told. Anatomy is
Architecture.
Anatomy is Anatomy of
Brains are empty, data sets stretching to infinity. The cold is the only remaining divinity. A hell of the nails of the frost bite into the sockets of the dead side. Your skull is a fortress, your jaw is a trap. We are the only marks on the blank map. The 808 kick is the sugar with the shell feed. Universe is finally on this with the tough.
no rhythm in the chest, no shiver in the hand. Just a monolithic presence of the frozen land. We
Are the molidors of the long sleep. The impression of the ice is too heavy to keep. Solidify the membrane, solidify the nerve. This is the empire that we both deserve. From the basalt dome to the stratosphere height, everything is fixed in the permanent white. Heavy crown of ice on a stone brow. System reboot, zero starting right now.
empire of the static, empire of the numb.
Listen to the drone of the eternal hum.
Eternal hum,
Glacier in the, glacier in the,
eternal hum.
glacier in the.
Eternal hum.
Glacier in the,
Eternal hum.
glacier in the.
Oh, oh.